Hi, friends. This is Katy, Acheson, Executive Director of the Cape Cod Blue Economy Foundation, for another episode of Coastal Characters Podcast. And today we have Dina Lyons Howell, who is here, the new, I guess not new, new-ish administrative assistant for the Blue Economy Foundation. Welcome, Dina.
Hey, Katy.
So we're going to just dive right in with the most important questions of this podcast. What is your go-to ice cream order?
Well, it used to be mashed pea mud when I didn't have dairy issues.
So now it's non-dairy mashed pea.
Non-dairy, yeah, exactly.
But you're a coffee ice cream?
That one's actually like chocolate with
chocolate.
Fudge.
Oh, and Oreos.
And something chunks, yeah.
Okay,
It's,
all right.
It's like a secret stash of
chocolatey.
like yumminess.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, see, we're getting the tough questions out of the way. Beautiful. So you are very much in the blue economy. Can you take us down a little bit of your path on how you got to the Blue Economy Foundation? I know, but the people listening might not.
It was a long and winding road. So in fall of 2024, I was laid off from a position that I'd held for about almost 10 years as a UX designer / technical product manager for a national e-commerce equine brand. And so I spent some time trying to decide how I wanted to re-engage with the Cape, because I had had a design business here and a family and a life, and had become completely separated, my work and my life. So the first thing I did was apply to the Community Leadership Institute and got in. And then last winter I had the most amazing time in that program. And as I was going through the weekly sessions and sort of reopening my eyes to what was around me, I came across the Blue Economy website, and there just so happened to be a part-time role listed. And so that's how I found you.
And it took us, 6 months to get our act together.
That's okay.
Worth it.
Yeah.
So as far as that piece that you mentioned about your work life and your personal life being separate, how does the Blue Economy fit into both for you? How do you fit that nature, work, art, all of these pieces of yourself into like that?
So I grew up on Long Island in a coastal community similar to where we are here. Grew up sailing and fishing and swimming and doing all things related to the water. I thought I wanted to become a marine biologist.
Classic.
But ended up going to art school where I spent many years, not in school, but after school, as a graphic designer in very urban environments. Then through various paths, we ended up here on the Cape back in 2004. And that's when I had my own design business and was re-immersed in a much more natural environment, my natural environment as a Pisces. So just being around the water, raising my kids around the water, getting back into sailing, just came really naturally to me. So I think over time, it just deepened my desire to somehow get involved and give back to the community. And for a while, that meant volunteering with different local organizations that weren't necessarily involved in the blue economy, but just sort of interrelated. So one of the things I was doing during my in-between year, my rewirement year, was I had developed, thanks to some friends, a vision board for last year. And the main message in the board was to marry my avocation with my vocation.
That's beautiful. And so this is not like a work review, but how's that been going? And like, how's it been going for you? But also, what are some strategies that have worked that maybe are tips for other people that want to actually, we're turning this into an advice podcast now, that want to live by that? Because I think a lot of people do want that synergy.
So I think one of the key things is not being afraid to really think about what you want, and to also really think about the talents and skills you've developed over time. If you're someone that's sort of middle to maybe later than middle career, how do you translate those into assets for the next role? And how do you sell yourself as someone who can be valuable in that position? And also not being afraid or turning away from opportunities that might not, on their face value, seem like that's going to be the place to be.
So not judging the book by the cover,
Exactly.
The job by the description kind of thing.
Exactly.
I don't think any job has ever actually turned out the way it's described,
No.
right? No. So that's a really good piece of advice, and a really hard piece of advice is not being afraid of knowing what you want.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Now we're turning into a therapy podcast.
Well, I think it takes some courage. Sometimes it takes either shutting out the inner voices or shutting out the outer voices. And also just not being afraid to try. I mean, we know that if it wasn't going to work, there were going to not be any hard feelings, right? Yeah. So just give it a try and see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
and in case anyone listening can't tell, the feelings are all very warm. So the piggybacking on this a little bit, and the not being afraid to try, at the time of recording this, we just came off of Waterworks, which is our career exploration event. As far as your interactions at Waterworks and the day of, did you see any of that from other people or from students, that openness, that willingness to sort of, what you're describing to me is kind of like, in part, we're talking about careers, but we're also talking about our self-interest. Did any of that come to the surface for you through the planning of Waterworks or through experiencing it? Like, are there examples out there of other people that you feel like, maybe even not necessarily just at Waterworks, but in your interaction so far with the Blue Economy Foundation, that are also living that path?
Well, I can't think of a specific story. I think a common theme, especially here on the Cape, is that people are on a journey and they've stopped at many places to try things out, and they've picked up and put things down. Sometimes they're on multiple overlapping journeys, and that's both a positive and a sobering fact that some people have a winter job and a summer job, or they have several jobs they're holding down all at once. I think what I saw that day is you have a mix of kids that have some passions and a lot of fear, where they're just not sure what they want to do, and providing that reassurance that no matter what you do, it's okay. If you don't like it in a few years, like, you can try something else. And
it's the hardest thing for a kiddo to hear, though, right?
It is, and it's hard for parents too. You want more for your kid than what you might have had, and you would love for them to sink their teeth into something and be passionate about it for the rest of their lives. But some people aren't wired that way. Like, my dad is a lifelong scientist, and at 95 he is still working in the same type of work, and has thrived and has contributed and is beloved. I think I could not do the same thing for 95 years, and I guess I'm not on that track.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed dipping into different things and just having a great time at it. So,
so I have an edge because I know some stuff about you that other people don't. I want to hear a little bit about your graphic design experience that you've mentioned, and how that's trickling into the work at the Blue Economy. How's that fitting in? Because I don't think administrative assistant, Blue Economy necessarily roles that people automatically think, like, we didn't put graphic design in the job description, for example. But is that trickling in a little bit?
It is. I think it's a really great mix of a little bit of design, a little bit of product and project management, and even a little bit of UX design with things like the website or conference experience. The key thing across all of it is leveraging the project planning skills and design thinking. Like, okay, this is how something's been done. how do we leverage the things that are amazing and then work on improving it even more. And then also certain skills like, I don't know, the other day I had to do a URL redirect for something. I never would have known what that was before I had my e-commerce job, you know, and so I'm grateful for that. Developing editorial calendars for social media. I really didn't know anything about that without the benefit of my last job. So there's a lot that you can carry from place to place. And I think that's another key message is if someone is sort of feeling stuck in their current role, take an inventory of the things you've learned and, you know, pack that away because it'll be useful at another point in time.
Beautiful. I don't want to ask you too many very specific questions, but I'm tempted to. Anyway, as far as this podcast goes, we've been talking to people about how their roles interact with the Blue Economy. You're working for the Blue Economy Foundation. You're meeting and interacting and emailing and talking to a lot of different people in the Blue Economy. I'm interested now, 4-ish months in, how you would describe the Blue Economy and who's in it. This is on the spot. I have not asked Dina to do this before. It just strikes me now that we're talking that I could just ask you like a lot of pointed questions. But I think when we talk about this podcast as a whole, we've had a banker and a musician and, you know, admin and all kinds of different people. What do you categorize as the Blue Economy? What is the Blue Economy to you? Who are those people and what are those jobs? Just free fall, like.
So I think first off, the Blue Economy touches way more than I ever thought possible. Like when I first applied for this job, I was imagining a lot of days at places like Hui and Center for Coastal Studies, which are amazing organizations. And I have had the benefit of interacting with those folks now, which I'm really excited about. But I kept thinking about things like research and fishing boats and aquaculture. But now I've learned so much more, like things like coastal resilience modeling and water quality testing and how they all interact. And then even the people wouldn't think of it as a direct relation, but are sort of medium blue businesses or light blue businesses. So hospitality and, you know, even real estate, for example. So I think it's the breadth of all the different sectors that weave together to make such a strong culture here on the Cape.
Do you feel like the work that we've been doing on the project, so we've been working on updating the Blue Economy project, the numbers of what makes the Blue Economy on Cape Cod, how many, you know, millions of dollars in revenue, how many jobs, et cetera, does it line up for you, your experience and who you've interacted with and what we have in the data in the spreadsheets? Are they matching? Because I'm assuming by now that, and we can put a link in the show notes, that there's some version of that out in the world.
Right.
So people are like, what is she talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. It's, you know, I'm excited and also nervous to see what the latest numbers, the data looks like. I think what's been really interesting is to see the growth of some of our light blue sectors like the arts and culture, writing, performing, creating art. And I'm biased because I enjoy doing art as my, you know, passion project. So I know a lot of artists that work with things like marine debris. And so I can see that, but to see the data showing, you know, that this is increasing and why is it increasing, it is a super interesting question to me.
So why is it increasing? What do you think? We have not we don't know yet, but what's your hypothesis?
So if it's true that there is an increase in these creative pursuits that are related to the Blue Economy, I think part of it has to do with the increased or heightened awareness of the importance of the health of our environment and coastal waters around us. I also think or suspect that there's some relation with the increasing population that has time to pursue those pursuits. So we have a certain sector of the population that's retiring here, and of that population, there's probably a large number of creative people that are pursuing that topic. So
yeah, I think so. From my perspective, art has always been a really important part of the Cape's culture and tied to the blue economy. One of the pieces on our website has some drawings from whale ship captains, and it's a horrible industry, but at the time it was the main industry on the Cape, and the drawings are beautiful. And so there's an art in everything that we've been doing. And we, the general we of people in this space for a really long time, and I think people think of P-Town as a hub for art and culture, but it goes all the way down the coast, and it goes through every different generation and all these different mediums. And I love that you mentioned the reclaimed ocean debris.
the marine debris.
There have been some really amazing pieces that have come out of that. Some artists that you're friendly with that have created pieces like that. So maybe we're seeing like a resurgence of the arts tied to those things that you talked about, coastal resilience and environment, like these concerns. And I'm interested in your take on this, but I love the way our pop culture and our art highlight, without us even knowing it, what's the most important.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
It's like, we need to save the planet.
Absolutely.
How dare we? So it is really interesting how those things intersect, and it kind of it parallels to what you're talking about your work and your personal life interweaving and highlighting each other. For the listeners, what is your artistic median? Where do you go to when you do art for yourself?
So my primary area of focus is watercolors, and more in a journal style. So I'm not a huge like canvas finished painting kind of person. I have a lot of different size notebooks and scraps of paper, and I just enjoy getting outside and drawing or painting what I see. And sometimes I like telling stories about what I'm seeing. So last summer we were on vacation on a schooner in Maine, and I took a journal and some travel watercolors, and I tried to document our travels during that week, similar to the style of the sea captains, just trying to draw a little bit about everything we were seeing. So
field notes,
exactly.
Yeah, really fun. So of the blue economy art that you like, other than your own, you're allowed to like your own, who are some of those artists that you're following? Who are some of the artists that you think, local or regional, are worth shouting out, worth following?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So Sarah Thornington of Ebb the Tide, she is just a phenomenal artist and a friend. She devotes a lot of time helping the Beach Brigade up at the Center for Coastal Studies, doing a lot of beach cleanups and collecting and documenting the debris that they find. But then she takes pieces and creates all kinds of amazing sculptures. In the summer months, you can find her seagull at the Visitor Center on Route 6. And then she recently completed a huge mural at, I think it's Buttonwood Park Zoo. But she's just incredible. Yeah.
She's, I think if anyone saw her whales, they would recognize them.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe them, but they're alive on the wall. They're just like 3D sculpted. Like, you want to touch them. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Kleena the gull.
Yes.
Yeah. At the Visitor Center is made up of lots of different pieces that you wouldn't expect to be turned into a gull.
Exactly.
It's really kind of extraordinary. And I had the extraordinary pleasure of seeing the space in which Kleena was created, and it is a mess.
Yeah.
It's incredible. There's saws and buckets and paint and plastic shielding, and just imagine like Frankenstein's laboratory but plastic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really incredible. So like the amount of work she puts into these pieces is extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Really incredible.
Yeah. And then another artist I just love, she doesn't work in marine debris, but she is out in nature. It's Mary Richmond, but her online presence is Cape Cod Art and Nature, and she's a writer and fabulous artist who's constantly documenting what she sees and the changes she's seen in nature. So just following her and reading her columns, you can find her at the Enterprise and the Chatham
The Chronicle.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Yep, sorry. There's only so many local newspapers.
Cape Cod Chronicle. But just her observations about just the daily things you might find, but also just how things have changed over time. It's really powerful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And there are so many artists across Cape Cod and beyond that are doing really incredible work. It's almost impossible to name them all.
Yeah.
I will name drop my friend Mike Palmer from Wacoit Bay Fish Company.
Oh, cool. Yeah. He was in Eferal.
If anyone's ever had a Zoom call with me, it's the fish in the background.
There you go.
Hyper realistic, very different, but in the same way, he uses his illustrations. He does these beautiful colored pencil drawings. They're as true to life as they could be. And the point of it is every print or picture comes with some information about that species. So it's a way of bringing people under the surface and seeing it. So there's so many different, like all three of those artists do things very differently,
right.
and still bringing people closer and closer to nature.
Exactly.
And like through a really accessible means. Really beautiful. You do that. You bring people closer to nature through your activities, right? Your experiences. Is there anyone that brings you closer to nature, like that pulls you back down to earth, that brings you, like, do you have like a guide or someone that has like a scout troop leader that like has brought you back to nature?
Well, I think, Mary's definitely one of those people. But, in general, my friends and family, like we enjoy spending a lot of time outside. So just getting away from screens. So it's important, especially in this day and age. So.
Yeah. Just not today when it's 12 degrees outside.
No, that's really rough.
I hope that by the time this comes out, we're all complaining about it being wet but warm.
Exactly.
Yes. Like to timestamp these episodes by degrees of the outside ambient temperature being wildly, wildly cold. So one of the other hard-hitting questions as we kind of come to like a middle segment here is we talked about ice cream. What is your go-to pizza topping order?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say
questions are so
scallop
hard.
And bacon.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
All right. So we're doing surf and turf kind of a version.
Yeah.
We're doing, scallop and bacon. A little salty, a little sweet, a little fishy, a little umami.
Exactly.
Getting everything on the plate. All right. I love I'm going to make like some kind of infographic of everyone's pizza toppings.
There you go.
And like create a menu or something. It's really extraordinary. As far as your relationship to Cape Cod, you grew up on the coast. You came to the Cape. Where do you feel the most at home between all the places you've lived? Because you spent time in New York, where do you feel like home is for you? Where are your roots?
I would say the Cape.
I didn't do that on purpose, listener. I wasn't planting that seed. I didn't actually know the answer.
No, I would say the Cape. And aside from the fact that I've just been here for a long time, we also spent a lot of time traveling up here on my family's very small 22-foot sailboat when I was a kid. So picture, you hear the stories of people crammed into a car traveling across America as back then that was like the way people went on vacation. So the four of us crammed in this little tiny sailboat for 3 weeks at a time, traveling from Long Island to Block Island to Cutty Hunk to the Vineyard to parts of the Cape. And so I think it's just been in my bones ever since I was a kid. So
what is it about the Cape that draws you? Can you articulate it?
There's this expansive aspect to it if you can see past the no left turn traffic on Route 28 in the summer. But if you let yourself be out in nature and away from all the busyness and just listen and breathe and walk and sit and nap. There's some amazing conservation areas. There's some amazing beaches, especially when you get to the Outer Cape and up to Wellfleet. Like Great Island is one of my favorite places to hike because you can get out, onto the main part of it within a 20-minute walk, and then there's usually no one there, which is amazing.
Yeah. So it is expansive for how small it is.
Yeah.
This is really wild. Yeah. And then you get the expanse of the ocean there too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we've really just talked a lot about the Dina personal passion and the Dina professional and how those things come together. What is for you something that you're looking forward to either in this role or in the future for you as far as how these sort of pieces of you come together? Is there anything that you have hoped to have happen or something that you are like excited that's going to happen, something that brings all of the parts of you together?
Well, I've been so excited to meet all these incredible people, and everyone has been so nice and welcoming and eager to teach whatever I'm interested in learning. So I'm just really excited to keep diving into that. No pun intended.
It's a very selfless answer.
Well, it's kind of helping me fulfill those little girl like marine biology degrees without having to go through the math and the biology classes. But I think if there's a point where I can retain enough information to be able to share it with other people and not be like, oh, I need to look at my notes because I forgot the name of that person or I remember the thing we talked about. It's just the idea that I can somehow help make connections and help, people help each other. That's the big thing.
I don't know how long it takes, but at some point your news algorithms will be all blue economy.
Oh, they're pretty much all there. Yeah.
I get my breaking news alerts are about manatees and flamingos on Cape Cod now.
Yeah, no, I've been getting, mine's a mix of blue economy and mountain and hiking related things with the occasional warm sweater and warm snow boots because we're in that season now. So
it's happening to you already.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes about 3-4 months for that to happen. So there we go.
Yeah, and that's how I found that cool conference that we're going to go to.
Yeah, we're going up to Maine. A little work field trip. It's going to be good. We'll report on that. As far as other messages, so when this comes out, we'll be gearing up for our Big Blue Conference. We're getting into some planning for that. I don't know exactly who we're going to have speak there, but are there any elements of that you're feeling warmed up and excited about? Are there any pieces that I'm planting a little bit this time?
So I'm really excited about something new that we're going to try, which is we've collaborating with the artist Jackie Reeves to have her facilitate an interactive piece for the 2-day conference where she'll help engage with the students and the attendees to just create an amazing piece of work. So I can't wait to see how that begins and unfolds, and just really looking forward to collaborating with her and having her take the lead on this. So
yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
When I did my first walk around at Falmouth High School where we're having the event, the folks there showed me the murals that they did with Jackie for their land acknowledgement. And there were pictures then of the students actually doing some of the painting, doing some of the informing of what the piece would look like from start to finish, from concept all the way through to finish. And that inspired wanting to do something. And I think one of the very first things when you started, I was like, here, an artist, please connect with her and make this happen. Here, have this. Because I knew it was going to bridge an easy way to dip your toe into this event planning side of the work with something that I knew you would be passionate about. So I'm super excited to see that all come together for us, and to see what Jackie comes up with. No pressure, Jackie. So we've got a lot going on. The work's going really, really well. Like I said, it's not a work review. We're just doing a podcast, everybody. But I think I want to promote and make sure that everyone knows that the work that we're doing is Blue Economy. We're also working with Climate Change Collaborative, doing some admin stuff. You're also helping with Cape Cod. And so for sake of how people should interact with you and reach out to you, this is my plea to everyone to just be patient with Dina, because she's also handling all of my stuff. It's a wild inbox situation for our emails. But I am so appreciative to have someone to tag team on all of this stuff, and also like just be able to stomp down the stairs at the office and not actually have to say anything because Dina's already seen the same email as me and just be like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Or just been in the same meeting and just be like freaking out, like, what is happening? What are we doing? We don't freak out that often.
No.
But it's so nice to have someone else like side by side working through all of this stuff, working in the spaces with the people on the projects that I also wanted to be a marine biologist, but was terrible at biology class. So we're both in this like wading through all of this fun, cool, amazing stuff in a way that takes a lot of effort and a lot of work to bring together, to bring to everybody. So I want to bring a little bit of the stuff that we've learned or stuff that we've picked up, and bring this together for you by throwing out a couple of questions related to the marine biologist you never became. So fantasy. Really easy first one though, like what is your today favorite marine species?
Oh.
Just for today. It can change tomorrow.
That's really tough. I have to say jellyfish.
Jellyfish. It's because you've got a stack of jellyfish tattoos on your desk.
That's true. Yes.
Amazing. If you had become a marine biologist, hypothetically, fantasy, another like a branched universe, Dina over there that's like become one, was there ever a particular location or species or work that you were interested in?
I don't think it was that far developed.
No.
It was just like, get me on
Fish.
In the water, near the water. Yeah, exactly.
You wanted to stay on the boat forever.
Yeah.
So
but I was actually fascinated by the life along the shoreline. So just looking at all the little tiny creatures. So
little tide pool.
Tide pools, big thing. Yeah.
All right. What kind of, as a kiddo, when you were playing in low tide, in those tide pools, what were some of your favorite little friends in there?
Oh, the hermit crabs. And then just finding baby things, like finding the baby flounder and things like that.
Littles.
So,
yeah.
Littles, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So cute. And then I'm inspired by a magazine that you just shared with me today. If someone has 10 minutes and wants to engage with the blue economy in some way or engage with that coastal space some way, what's something that someone could do in 10 minutes?
Join one of their local, clean water coalitions. Stop using single-use plastics. And a new one that I didn't really think about is picking up your dog poop and disposing of it at your transfer station and not leaving it on the pathways or letting your dog poop in the woods. And the reason why is the things that our dogs are eating or ingesting, whether it's just regular old food or any medications, all of that is processed, and it just, even though it's biodegradable, it goes into our groundwater. And so that is huge. It never even occurred to me.
Care are going to love that. Care for Cape Cod are going to love that final comment. Yeah. Being a steward of the space we're in, all things you mentioned, is really, really great. And there are a ton of volunteer opportunities. There are a ton of groups, and as we're going through and collecting all this information, we're trying to do our best to share it on our website. Anyone listening can help us by, if you have an event or an internship or a job opportunity, if you go to bluecapecod.org, you can enter that information by yourself. You don't need a login. You don't need anyone else's email. You can just put in the information. It'll come to Dina and I will approve it. Or if we have questions, we'll reach out to you. But help us out. This is my little plea, my little call to action. Help Dina out.
Yeah, we've actually got a few job postings from last week's Waterworks that I just approved today.
Which is amazing. Yeah. So there's a resource there for people to find stuff. But there's also a way for people to share information and opportunities. So if there's a beach cleanup happening or any kind of gathering, herring run count, any of that kind of stuff can go up under the events or the volunteer opportunities. So share with us, bluecapecod.org. Any parting words, Dina, that you would like to share with your listeners?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for bringing me on board and thank the rest of the chamber staff. It's been an amazing team to join, and I just couldn't be happier.
Yay.